All right, guys, get ready because we're about to trigger some people. Because I'm about to tell you the three reasons that athletes tend to fail physical therapy. So PT didn't work for me, right? Like that's the number one thing that athletes leaving big box physical therapy companies tell me. Here's three major reasons why I think that this is oftentimes true. Number one, years of poor movement, poor habit, different compensations, like they don't get chipped away quickly. Your average physical therapy prescription is going to be about 3 times a week, 6 to 8 weeks, right? So high volume, short duration, and honestly, like adaptations, they don't occur in that time frame. Adaptations are something that occur slowly over time, especially when we're talking about movement compensations. We're talking about muscle strength and just all these things that go into it. And uh, it it just doesn't fit the bill for the standard physical therapy. And then honestly, it's that way because that's what insurances like to pay for. I don't know what data they're using. And 3 times a week is a lot, like, and what kind of differences are being made between Monday and Wednesday or Wednesday and Friday or even Monday and Friday? Like there's just not much, but you still have to ask off from work and take time away from your family, right? So that's number one. Number two, we're we're just not loading our athletes enough. So athletes, they come with uh, higher abilities that come with more complex problems that require much more complex solution. And honestly, these big box PT companies, they're just not equipped to give these people the load and the challenge that they need to curate the change. And if you think about it, it makes complete sense because the primary client or the primary patient of a big box PT are your elderly and your post surgical, like your acute post surgical patients. They don't need equipment like your squat rack, your rig. They don't need sandbags and kettlebells and things that the typical athlete needs, and so it just doesn't make sense for normal big box companies to have this. Number three, our athletes are getting non-specific exercises for very specific problems. Time and time again, people are saying like, "Hey, I went in with low back pain, and I was doing bridges on the table just like the 80-year-old with back pain next to me," and that's just not okay. Athletes are coming with highly active problems. They need active solutions, and we cannot just have cookie cutter programming. And it's just not right. And oftentimes, aides are heavily employed. Aides are typically going to be high school students or young college students that may have little to no training in working with athletes or programming. And shoot, even does your PT have experience with that? Are they knowledgeable? Are they athletes as well? And so, Linchpin Performance, we opened our doors to create a home for these athletes. Right? It looks quite a bit different from your typical setup, and it should, given the population that we're working with. That is the population that we're working with. So you're seeing things like the squat rack, you're seeing things like sandbags and kettlebells and all that because that's who we like to work with, and that's who we are. Like we are athletes ourselves. That's who we want to focus on. There's such an underserved population, and we always work one-on-one. We don't have any aides or support staff, and we structure specific accountability and programming not only to get you out of pain but to equip you to where that pain never comes back. Our goal is to make you better managers of self, not only in movement but also through all the pillars of health. So as you leave the plan of care in physical therapy, you are a much more resilient and healthy and versatile human being. So it makes sense why Lynchpin Performance is the preferred rehab facility in Louisville, Kentucky. And so, in conclusion, like if you're an athlete and you failed physical therapy, it's more likely that physical therapy actually failed you.